Hello and welcome to this little seminar. I'm Ursula Knecht, I'm a sports physiotherapist. The question for this seminar is, are you at risk? Are you at risk to fall? And then with it you may have a hip fracture or another fracture that then causes pain, and then you have to go to the hospital, nursing home and so on. So I've been a physiotherapist since 25 years. And I've done plenty of research on how to prevent falls and also how to keep you independent as long as possible. And that's all what this presentation is about. So if I present that face to face to a group of people, then I usually ask them at the beginning or this stage actually, what would be your questions? Why are you interested in that topic? So as I cannot do that here and now, I would like you to just contact us with some more questions if they have not been answered during that presentation. You can also follow us and just see our contact details, so you can keep up to date with all the seminars we're going to send through anyway. So interesting is to see that if you have a look at that chart on the right side, so until we're about 64, the falls are quite reasonable. The amount of falls people have, it's quite in a normal range. And then suddenly, from 65, and some statistics say 64, it doesn't really matter, doesn't it? It sparks up dramatically like that. And I couldn't find out in the literature why that's the case, but usually when I present I say, like, what do you think, what's happening in that age? And the classical thing that people say, and I think so too, is that people retire. So as long as they are involved in workforce and they have to go to work, come back to work and so on, they seem to keep their strength better. So that's also part of what you're going to learn later down the track. What's the factors that have people falling more often? And then suddenly when they're 65 or 64 and older, they have 3.5 times as many falls. And although it looks pretty good now for men that they have less falls than women, we're going to see later down the track, it's not really an advantage for men. So the 60 or 65-year-olds have a 30 to 35% higher risk to fall, and if you are over 70, then it goes up even more. Older people living in nursing homes fall even more often than those living in, at home, independent and so on. And here it's straightforward. I think it's because people live in a nursing home. Either they are already, of course, not so well, that's why they are there, so they are already weakened. And the second reason, I think, is because people that are living in a nursing home obviously don't have daily routine activities. Even just, from making the bed to cleaning things, to go shopping and so on, that's all done for them. An also interesting fact is 80% of falls occur during daytime and only 20% at night. And that more than half, or 56% of falls occur outside the home, so when people do gardening or in the yard or public places. So gardening is a classical one as well, because it obviously has uneven ground, and then they sometimes carry things along and they don't see a step or whatever, and they hook on that and they fall. The other thing is public places. So when other people, if somebody is a bit weak on their legs and the balance is not really so good, and then somebody else bumps into them, they may have a fall from that. So now we come back to the hospitalization and just see what's happening. What kind of injuries do men and women actually have when they have to go to hospital? So as we saw before, we have the rates of falls in men is less high, but it's more lethal. Now you see they're actually hitting their head and their neck, and they're actually more men dying from falls than women are doing. So although we have men falling less often in a percentage base, the ones they fall have a much more dangerous fall they hit their heads and necks, and they may even die from the fall. So it's critical for men and women to prevent falls, and you learn in this presentation on what you can do about it. But again, if you do have a fall, besides of the pain, most of the time you're a bit stuck in bed or you're not actually able to do much, and that's the danger in the whole story. So the soon as we're resting, we're deconditioning, and deconditioning goes really, really fast. So inactivity, total inactivity, let's say somebody had a fall and a fracture or so on, and then it's not a stable fracture and they have to somehow stay in bed for a week, or even if just you have a like really a flu and you're sick and so on. Inactivity is wasting 10 to 20% of your muscle mass in your body. Some say even it's more than that. So some research talks from scary up to 40% in the first week. So if you're immobilized or not able to do all the exercises you're normally doing, going out gardening, shopping and so on, or additional exercise for 3 to 5 weeks, you can waste up to 50% of your muscle strength. And the key is that, when we get older, it's a bit harder to keep the muscle mass up. So we actually have to do quite a bit of exercise to keep that strength up. And there's a big difference in those who actually do regular exercise and to keep their independence. So that's the blue line, or the blue line could even go, even here. It's just in this statistic it's not. And then there is this threshold. There's this threshold from, as long as you're above this threshold, you're independent and you're at home, you have a good range of function. And then if you have a fall and you fracture a hip or whatever, it doesn't matter, we were talking about that before, and you have to rest for whatever reason, then that suddenly drops down. And then if you're below that threshold, you're losing your independence. So the key is to obviously preventing falls, or if you do fall, what we're learning in my classes as well is how you can actually fall. So you're safer when you're falling. But the other key is the higher you up here, so the fitter and stronger you are, and then you're losing some strength, then you're still well above that threshold. So the risk factors, as we said before, that's now the other statistic with over 65. So some say like 64, 65. And we said before that women are falling more often, but not as bad. So it's not as high risky for women to fall than it is for men. And then it seemed that Aboriginals are falling more than Caucasian. And then there are some tests, so we can actually determine how high your risk is to fall. So that's depending on the speed you can walk. So the slower people walk, the higher generally they are at risk of falling. And then we can test the balance and the leg strength as well. So they are all key factors that if they are low, and we can easily test them in our clinic, so if they are low, then you are at higher risk to fall. Other factors are, of course, vision. This new glasses they have with the double or triple different vision, multifocal stuff. So if you have those on, and then usually looking under the lower part through on the glasses, that's for close vision. And then people go down steps and stairs, then they actually don't see that clearly. So that's a big part of problem with these multifocal glasses we have. So please take them off when you go outside and put some other glasses on. Then dizziness and vertigo has often to do with blood pressure as well. So if somebody has been sitting for a while, or let's say kneeling down doing some gardening and then standing up too fast, that's really, they can lose a bit stability, feeling a bit dizzy. So you want to do that slowly if you know that's a problem you have. Then cardiovascular diseases, dementia, depression, medication. Multi-medication is a big factor. So we see many people that are quite a bit over medicated. So it's a good thing to actually go with all the medications you have to see your chemist. So the chemists are the specialized people to look over your medications. They usually know more than your GP does. And the chemist can also tell you that if you have a certain combination of medication, what kind of risk it is for your health, also for your liver and so on, inner organs, but also if they have a negative effect to each other. Some medication actually contradict each other, so they work against each other instead of working together, but also they have an influence, of course, on your dizziness, vertigo, blood pressure, and so on. And the footwear at home is another important part. The safest footwear is actually walking bare feet, but thongs, like the Australians think they're still walking bare feet. I have to smile a bit about that one. That's I quite love it, but then again, it's quite a dangerous footwear because you're hooking on things with them. So if you have a safe footwear that's your foot is stable in it, that's much better. And another problem which we see as well is incontinence. So when people have to rush to the bathroom, so all that rushing is a bit of a problem. So you can actually build up the pelvic floor as well, so that's less of a problem and gain more control with that. So now when we get older, some people say we lose stuff when we get older. So what do we really lose? What's research based that we cannot keep when we get older? Is it balance? Is it strength, flexibility, endurance, cardiovascular fitness, or is it speed? So usually presenting that in front of a group, I ask them and people put up their hands. Just a picture from the falls prevention class I'm running. Fall injury can be minimized and prevented. So how is your balance on ice? You see this elderly lady, she has a perfect balance. Obviously she just was jumping and landed then on one leg on that little surface that she has on her shoes. So balance is not something that we're losing when we get older. Now strength, is strength something we lose when we get older? Actually not. They did some research from 60-year-olds and 20-year-olds, and the first 2 years when you start training you can build up the same muscle mass as a 20-year-old when you get older. So it's no excuse to not do exercise. And then what do we have next? The whole flexibility part is also more a part of just doing it regularly rather than losing it from not using it. That's another one, flexibility and age. And muscle mass I think we have to do a little bit more to keep our muscle mass. It's a bit harder when we get older. But speed is the key thing which we really lose. You know, you have probably heard from this old tennis player, Roger Federer. So his problem is that obviously he takes longer for recovery. That's one part. So his cells don't recover as fast as the young ones do, but also his speed is not the same. Although this gentleman here with 96-year-old is quite fast, I'm guessing he would be faster than many of us, but he's still, you know, comparing to when he was in his 20s, it's probably double the time he has now to run his 100 meters. But again, showing those pictures, it's demonstrating on how much you can actually keep your fitness level if you do exercise on a regular basis. Too old to do exercise, that's an excuse I sometimes hear. They did a study on 100 nursing home residents with an average age of 87.1 years old. They trained vigorously, I think that's the key word. So they just didn't go for a 5-minute walk every day. They did a comprehensive vigorous training for 10 weeks and then demonstrated the following significant improvements. So they gained 11.3% muscle strength. They increased their walking speed by 11.8%. they improved stair climbing by nearly 30%. It's quite impressive what you can achieve in just 10 weeks. Now, a comprehensive 6 weeks exercise program showed the following improvements. It's also so comprehensive, meaning there are different aspects, so like flexibility, strength, coordination, and so on. And that showed a 23% improvement in back strength, 30% more or less increase in leg strength, and that's the key. The leg strength part is the key for your independence and to prevent falls. 23% increase in aerobic fitness. Aerobic fitness is your cardiovascular, so your lungs, your hearts, and so on, health, and 32% improvement in general well-being, so feeling much better. So when you're fitter, you're healthier, and you're feeling better in yourself and about yourself. And then a 16% reduction in disability. That's actually was a study more that for back pain clients, so that's also in my book Back Pain Goodbye, so which I publish in that one. So it's just interesting in what short period of time you can actually gain with the right exercises, and decrease of body fat, of course, as well. So national guidelines actually show us on how active we should be, and they say like you should walk 5 times a week for 30 minutes or run 20 minutes 3 times a week. All in all, it should be a combination of 150 minutes of endurance we should do per week. So they also say like a good combination would be if you walk twice a week for 30 minutes and then go for a run twice a week for 20 minutes. So the higher intensity, the less long you have to do it. So they're also talking about brisk walking. So shopping is not walking. It's still movement. It's better than sitting around and do nothing, or watch TV or whatever, or read a book. But brisk walking is a continuous motion which is fast walking and gets your heart rate up and gets you breathing a bit heavier. So you want to have that cardiovascular effect, and you do want to have that continuous motion that gets your muscles more tired as well. Otherwise it doesn't have this benefit. And besides of that endurance, the national guidelines also recommend twice a week to do some weight training. Now let's have a look at the overall thing. So what we should do least is sitting, computer time, and TV time. So you know, you have a look at your day, how many hours you have. That's what's that comparing to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a seventh of the time or less. 10 twice a week you should go and do some weightlifting, flexibility, strength, and all those things. Then now here we're back to this 150 minutes we had from before. So 3 to 5 times per week, at least 150 minutes a week, you should do some cardiovascular activities or play tennis, basketball, skating, whatever. And every day, and as much as possible, you should take the stairs, do some household work, and walk the dog, and so on. So we should generally be much more active. So walking more and use the car less. That's usually a good thing to do. Benefit of fall prevention programs. So prolonged independence, you get stronger, you have better balance, you are more independent at home, promoting health and well-being. The fitter you are, obviously the healthier you are, and also we have this group environment, so you're meeting people on a regular basis. That's usually good to have a bit of a chat together as well. Reducing fear of falling, we actually do learn how to fall as well in different ways. It's just that you are reacting. I often hear from people they fall like a tree, so they didn't even put their arms out or even attempt to make a step. So we have to retrain those reflexes so that you can prevent falls, or if you do fall, that you fall in a safe way. And because we are doing that, of course, in a group, you are continuously involved in a community participation. Now this one really shows that the best thing to fall prevention is exercise and actually vitamin D, as you have a look at that. So if you now in winter, it's really good to go outside and have a bit sunshine to get your vitamin D up. So exercise, if you do 2 hours a week or twice 1 hour and intense vigorous exercise, that's the minimum you have to do to keep that level up or to gain that level. Of course, if you are very weak, then you have to do probably a bit more to retrain that strength. So what's the fall prevention group including that we offer at HFRC? We do leg strength and general strengthening exercises, so it's also improving your bone density. We do core stability, including pelvic floor training, balance, flexibility, endurance, so cardiovascular fitness, specific fall prevention exercises, so you actually are reacting when you know that you're not falling like a tree, like I mentioned before. We reduce fear of falling because you learn how to fall in a safe way, going down to the floor and safely go up again. It's a key factor, so you're going to be able to, wherever you are, to go down to the floor in a safe way and stand back up again. And on Fridays afternoons from 2 to 3 I'm running the 50+ group exercise program, which includes cardiovascular fitness. So we do an interval training on the bikes, then we do some balancing training on specific tools as well, so it's a bit a higher level with the balancing as well, leg strength, core strength, the whole body strength, arm strength, so on. Flexibility, it's a key factor that you keep on flexible enough so you can put up your shoes and so on and bend down for gardening and keep on going like that. This is always weekly on Friday from 2 to 3 o'clock, like I mentioned before. So now in a presentation I would now ask you if you have any questions. So again, please contact us if you do have some questions that are not answered in this presentation. So you have all our details below, and follow us so you keep up to date with all the details. You can book an assessment and then we're gonna determine what's best for you. What's the best solution? Is it physio, one-to-one? You know, do you have a pain problem, what we call a coordination problem, so the muscles do the wrong thing at the wrong time and so on? Or do we get you in an individualized gym program where the exercise physiologists are looking after you and give you a specific program for yourself? Or do you join the 50+ group exercise program in the Friday afternoon or the fall prevention group? So depending on your needs, we're going to offer different solutions for you. So I really encourage you to contact us for an assessment, and then we can see how we can help you to keep your independence and to prevent falls. So please contact us if you like to do some booking, or if you have any questions for us. Here's the webpage, the phone number, and please follow us and give us a thumb up if you like that. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye-bye.